Maya picked up his 5th win of the season. And again, the Blue Jays struggled with runners in scoring position and went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And they've got to come through with some clutch hits. Take a look at the lineup. Pilar, Donaldson, Bautista, Morales, and Justin Smoak over his last 23 games. Swinging a great bat, 10 home runs, 23 RBIs in those 23 games. And then down in the number 9 spot, Luke Maile doing the catching tonight. Has a 5-game hit streak, 6 for 16. And Maile has been productive. A home run, a couple of RBIs, and he scored a pair of runs.
Nothing wrong with Russell Martin. Just a night off, day game tomorrow, so Luke Maile's in there. The rest of the Blue Jays will face Jesse Hahn. Comes off the disabled list and makes his first start since May the 23rd, when he was forced out of that game in the 3rd inning against Miami with a strained triceps muscle in his throwing arm. After that injury quieted down, he made 1 rehab start. That was last Wednesday, and had his arm strength back. He was hitting 95 miles an hour again on the radar gun. He has not won since April the 19th, and he faces the Blue Jays for the first time in his career.
So there aren't many Blue Jays that have any at-bats, just Kendrys Morales and Luke Maile with at-bats against Hahn. Here's the first pitch of the game. It's a fastball off the plate, and we are underway. Kevin Pilar walked and scored in his first at-bat last night. It looked like the Blue Jays were off and running, but they couldn't muster much against Oakland. Pilar lines it to left field. That's Mark Canha in left. 1 away. Defensively, the A's have committed the most errors in baseball, 58 errors, and they've done a lot of shuffling around the outfield. Mark Canha was in right field last night. Rajai Davis is in center. Chad Pinder was the shortstop last night. Rosales and Lowry up the middle. Healy and Alonso at the corners, and Stephen Vogt does the catching tonight for Jesse Hahn.
Got to take a look at Ryan Healy. He's a multi-talented guy. Hit a couple of home runs in last night's ball game. He's made 8 errors, 6 of them over at 3rd base this season. Got to see what you have in this youngster, so he gets to start tonight at 3rd base.
Josh Donaldson had an RBI double. He also lined out in the 7th. Finished up tonight 1 for 4 with a walk. Good curveball. 18 degrees here tonight. It was 17 last night at the start, but boy, did it cool off later on. As soon as that sun goes down, it cools off, and the ball doesn't carry quite as well. Donaldson with a nice cut, fouls it back. Josh, of course, played 4 seasons with the Oakland A's, and you can see decent numbers since he's come back, especially with the 3 doubles and 4 home runs in just 36 at-bats.
He likes facing his former team.
There's a base hit for Donaldson. He hit it past Rosales, hit shortstop into left field.
Well, you can just see that he's ready to take off, I think, offensively when he starts spraying the ball around the field with authority. Says he doesn't like ground balls, but he's going to like this ground ball as he shoots it through the left side for a hit. He doubled in last night's game in the 1st inning. Tonight, he gets it into the outfield for a base hit.
Since Donaldson was traded from Oakland to the Blue Jays, he's hit over 300 against Oakland and has 13 RBIs in 13 games versus the A's. Jose Bautista, he goes after the first pitch and hits it hard to left field. That gets down for a base hit. 3 sharply hit balls and 3 at-bats for the Blue Jays.
You mentioned Mark Canha in the outfield. In left field, he was in right field in yesterday's ball game. Chris Davis is DHing tonight. That's why he is not in his usual spot in left field, but Bautista is not waiting around as he rips this ball. He thought that maybe it was going to hang up for Canha to make the catch, saying get down ball. Canha didn't have a real good read on that line drive right at him. Has to play it on a hop.
Boy, 3 straight hard hit balls for the Blue Jays to start this game against a pitcher they have not faced before. Kendrys Morales, he's faced him. He's 2 for 5 with a homer. Fastball away for ball 1. Morales 0 for 4 last night with 3 strikeouts. He's got to get the ball in the air.
Yeah,
he's grounded into 11 double plays.
A couple of runners on base, and they're going to play it pretty much straight up now with Morales. We usually see a shift on him. 3 infielders on the right side of the infield. Now a couple of runners on base, so they're going to play it straight up he's got some holes to shoot for now if he does hit it on the ground.
And generally, there are 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. Not the case with runners at first and second. 2-0 pitch. Fouled straight back. We mentioned the Blue Jays haven't been able to come up with many clutch hits. In fact, 0 in the last 32 at bats with runners in scoring position. That's the franchise record and not one you want to brag about. John Gibbons has suggested, you know, guys just pressing a little bit, trying a little bit too hard, but they need to come up with some clutch hits. They had a chance to break it open early last night.
And failed to do that. 0 for 8 in last night's game. I asked Brooke Jacoby that direct question. I said, are guys putting pressure on themselves in these situations? He said, no question. There are guys who are trying to do too much. He said the pressure's got to be on the pitcher, and you have to have confidence in yourself that he's got to come to you. Don't think about the results. Think about what you have to do to be successful. I think at times hitters try to think about the results before they go up there and hit.
Ground ball to short. Rosales to second for 1, back to first, a double play. But Morales grounds into his 12th double play of the season, and Jesse Hahn pitches around a couple of base hits in the first. And 32 for the season, and let's take a look at their lineup. They are a power-laden lineup. They rely heavily on the home run, and Rajay Davis top of the order for Oakland. Yonder Alonso is in the 5th spot. And over his last 10 games, he has 4 home runs and 5 RBIs and a batting average over 400. And right behind him, the third baseman, Brian Healy. Over his last 10 games, he too has put up big numbers. 5 homers and 14 RBIs, including multi-home run games in 2 of his last 3 ball games.
He's got to keep it down against this home run hitting team. Marco Estrada trying to bounce back after a rough start versus the Yankees last time out. His usually reliable changeup was not working that day as he left it up for New York, and they reached him for 7 runs, including 2 home runs. Marco's shortest outing of the season. That snapped a streak of at least 6 innings pitched in 9 straight starts for Estrada. He's been so reliable this year.
Here is Rajay Davis. Estrada has really struggled in the first inning just to get into the flow of the game and find his command early. Davis batting .196 for the season. There's a strike. It's 1-1.
You stay down there and you're going to be just fine. I had a chance to talk to Marco after that last start, and he said, you know, it just was off. For some reason, I couldn't throw that changeup where I needed to. And everybody knows that's his bread and butter pitch.
Pretty good fastball. He didn't get to call. It's 2-1 to Davis. Starters will make 32, 33 starts during the course of a year, and they're going to have some hiccups along the line. When you talk to veteran starters, they'll tell you maybe 7, 8 games a year where everything is working together. Other times they have to piece things together, if you will. And there's the line from his last start.
That's the good ones. They might have 6 or 7 really good ones where everything is working.
Davis fouls it up.
That's the thing about Marco Estrada, is he is able to adjust within the game. If his changeup's not working early, he can go to his curveball. Or if the curveball's not working, he might be able to use the cutter early on. Pete Walker says he's got a lot of tricks in his bag that he can use to get you out.
There's a base hit for Davis. They better hustle it back in. Davis is headed for second. Here's the throw. Not in time. Rajay Davis, his 8th double to start things off for Oakland.
Came into this game 196, struggling just a little bit. I'll tell you what, Rajay still has that second gear. When he gets to first base, he can turn it on. It's a changeup. He is fooled, but he gets it into the outfield. It takes 3 bounces to Carrera, and Rajay's able to turn that corner when he gets to first base. He's thinking second right here, and he has that second gear, and he makes it easily for a leadoff double.
Now you got to keep your eye on Davis. He will run. Rajay 8 steals. He had a stolen base in the 5th inning in last night's game.
You know, if he's going to go, it might be better to go with the right-handed batter hitting as opposed to the left-handed batter that's on deck. Blue Jays fully aware that he will try to steal third base, and he's got a big lead.
Pop back over the screen and out of play. That double for Rajay Davis is the 189th extra base hit surrendered by the Blue Jays. That's the most in the American League. So they have given up their share of extra base hits, and they lead the league in that department. Over in the National League, the Braves, Pirates, the Reds, and Brewers have all given up more. The Blue Jays have given up more than any American League team.
Extra base hits. Somebody's always in scoring position, and there's the problem that Marco has had in the first inning this season. 10 earned runs in 12 starts.
Chad Pinder, the shortstop in last night's game, playing in right field tonight. Second start in right field. He's their super utility player. He has started in right, second, third, and 1 game in left field. Hey, keep an eye on Rajay Davis at second. He's only attempted 1 steal of third this year and was successful. He is 8 for 12 for the season.
And he's taken a couple of more steps with that lead.
A good pitch by Estrada. He strikes out Pinder. Take a look at the defense for the Blue Jays. Behind Marco Estrada, Ezequiel Carrera making his 29th start in left field. Pilar's in center and Bautista's in right. Tulowitzki at short. Ryan Goins makes just his 4th start at second. Donaldson and Smoke at the corners, and Luke Maile behind the plate during the catch for Estrada.
He might be getting some more starts now. If you're just tuning in, Devin Travis to the disabled list with a knee problem. We wish him well. Hope everything is okay. It looks like Ryan Goins and Darwin Barney are going to get most of the starts at second base now.
Breaking ball hit to right. That's in front of Bautista on a hop. They're going to stop the runner, Davis. That ball was hit right at Bautista. 1 hop right to him, and he's got to deal with the sun out there in right field right now. You can see he's wearing these sunglasses. The sun's still high above the upper deck of the stadium. Davis was stopped at third as Lowry waited back on that breaking ball and hammers it to right.
And he couldn't get a jump right away because the ball was hit so hard, and he wasn't really sure if Bautista was going to catch it or not. Jose comes up. He looks out of the corner of his eye to see if he is going, and then fires a strike home. There's Rajay at second. You can see initially he just can't go because he's not sure if that ball's going to carry all the way out to right field, so he'll move up. 2 outs, he's probably scoring. He's off on the crack of the bat.
Here is Chris Davis. He is DHing tonight. Davis started in left field last night and left with a calf injury. Said he felt some tightness running off the field. They took him out of the game in the 8th. So tonight he is the DH. He's got 17 home runs. 16 have come off right-handed pitchers. That's the most against right-handed pitchers in the American League. Lays off that high fastball.
Dangerous hitter. Looking for anything on the inner half that he could try and yank out of here. That's not a bad idea right there, to throw that fastball up and into him early in the count.
Good block by Maile. Luke is making his 22nd start for the Blue Jays. He's done a fine job catching. Blocks the ball well. He and Marco Estrada have done a good job. Nothing wrong with Russell Martin, but there's a day game tomorrow. Liriano's starting, and Russell, of course, has had a lot of success catching Liriano, so he will catch tomorrow. There's a called strike. That changeup finds the outside corner. Marco struck out Pinder on a changeup. Chris Davis has struck out 16 times in his last 10 games. Popped up and playable. Long run for Bautista. He will get there. Davis tagging at third. Here he comes. The throw from Bautista way offline. And Oakland scores. And on the throw, Lowry goes to second. So Rajai Davis, utilizing the speed, picks up an RBI for Chris Davis. And Oakland has a 1-0 lead.
You know, there is just no difference for speed. If you have it, you can manufacture runs. No substitute for it. This is not a very deep fly ball into the outfield, and we all know that Bautista is throwing a lot better this year. But Rajai Davis still, even at 36, has that great speed that he can score and get an RBI and get his team a run thanks to his legs.
He looked like a sprinter coming out of the gate as he tagged and scored. This is Yonder Alonso. Alonso's been one of the better hitters with runners in scoring position, batting .394. It's the second best average in the American League.
And his theory, I just want to crush balls. He's one of those guys who is thinking about lifting the ball, getting underneath it, and getting it up into the air this season. And it's working.
He's hit .406 over his last 9 games. Those are the numbers with runners in scoring position. 13 hits, 15 RBIs. One to nothing Oakland. Changeup and a wild swing. Alonso is playing in his 8th career game against the Blue Jays. He has hits in the previous 7. 8 for 20, a .400 average.
Remember the old saying, swing hard just in case? Well, that applies to Alonso this year. He is swinging hard every chance he gets. That ball is out of play. He's got 16 home runs. His career high coming into this year was 9. Did that when he was with San Diego a few seasons ago. Says now I want to try and lift the ball, get it up in the air and get it out of here. I don't want any ground balls.
10 of his home runs have come here at the Coliseum. Estrada strikes out Alonso. That ends the inning. But the A's break out on top. Chris Davis with a sac fly. 1-0 Oakland.
talked about his latest knee issue. Officially, a bone bruise and a cartilage injury on his surgically repaired right knee.
Yeah, that's what hurts the most, you know. Like you think about. Sorry.
No, it's good.
You just think about, like, you know, everything you did in the off season, and obviously coming off an injury last year and the year before as well. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Travis is headed to New York to see a knee specialist. The diagnosis there will determine if surgery is needed. Devin told us, quote, "I'm going to keep fighting to get healthy. I'm going to keep fighting. I just love this game too much." Buck?
Well, it's really unfortunate anybody suffers an injury, but boy, Devin Travis for 3 seasons in a row now has dealt with major injuries. And it's really tough. And obviously you could see the emotion as he was speaking with a rash. We both had a chance to talk to Devin today, and it's hard for an athlete to leave a team because of an injury after such a great run in May. He's now got an uncertain future for sure.
Agree. You had a great message for him, though, about one of your former teammates.
I did. I saw him in the hall, and I said, "You know what, Devin? I played with Paul Molitor, and he suffered injuries in each of his first 3 years, and we always wondered, is he ever going to stay healthy?" And we all know where Paul Molitor ended up, in the Hall of Fame. So you just got to keep working, and Devin's a great kid, and we wish him nothing but the best. And it's a tough time, boy. When the game is going on and you are away from the team, you are like on an island immediately. That's a foul ball just outside of first off the bat of Justin Smoke. You know, no matter how big a part of the team you are, no matter if you're a rookie or a veteran, the moment you're on the disabled list, you're separated from your team.
Yeah,
you're an outsider.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel good.
And nobody means to do it intentionally, but I felt it certainly when I broke my leg in '85, and it's like, wow. You just want to get away.
The game moves on, doesn't it? It just moves on, and it moves on without you, and that's a bad feeling. You start the day, you say, I wonder what my teammates are doing. I should be here at the ballpark and all that. One other thing, the buzzword I was hearing today around the ballpark today was injury prone. I don't buy that. You know, is Devin injury prone? Well, you know what? All athletes get hurt. And we've seen athletes who got hurt at the beginning of their career, and then they're fine. This is just an unfortunate thing, and took a lot of people by surprise this afternoon.
Yep. You know, we were so concerned about his wrist because he got hit by the pitch, and everybody kind of expected if he was going on a DL, it would be because of that wrist injury, but this came out of nowhere. Justin Smoke's at the plate. Tulowitzki is on deck. It's a full count to Smoke. Rosales backpedaling into the outfield, makes the play. Smoke gets that soft liner to the shortstop. 1 away.
Shows you the kind of fastball that Jesse Hahn can show you. 95, I think that one got in just a little bit, maybe broke the bat of Smoke. He's got a good fastball that he's got the arm strength back now up to 95. He also has a decent curveball and a slider. Something to watch out for tonight.
Troy Tulowitzki, excuse me, Pat, he'll come up with 1 out.
And the last point I want to make about Jesse Hahn, doesn't give up many home runs.
Third baseman Ryan Healy makes a nice play. Hahn went after it. He couldn't make the play. Healy was right there behind him to throw out Tulowitzki. Pretty good play for the young third baseman.
You know, that's why we wanted to highlight him at third base. That's his natural position. And they're saying, well, he's going to play some first base later on. They've got a young kid named Chapman who's a very good third baseman that they say that's their future over there. And maybe he's a DH, maybe he's a first baseman. Looked pretty good on that one. He's got some athletic skills.
The way he swings the bat, they're going to find a place for him to play. Here's Ezekiel Carrera hitting 7th tonight. Carrera started against the lefty Sean Manai last night. Finished up 1 for 2 with 2 walks.
Jesse Hahn one more time. He's given up 1 home run this year. I know he's had some arm problems, and this is his first start since coming off the disabled list, but he's got that breaking ball. That's why I highlighted the curveball and the slider. It's a good one. He doesn't give up many home runs.
The only home run he surrendered this year was to Joey Gallo back on April 19th. It was right here in the Coliseum. Came into this game 49 2/3 innings with just 1 home run allowed. 2 hopper to Jed Lowry in second. Easy inning for Jesse Hahn. 3 up, 3 down. 1-0 Oakland as we head to the bottom of the second.
This moment in MLB history is brought to you.
Three last night, needed just 1 hitter to do all the damage.
He did all the damage with a couple of swings of the bat. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. He's a good low ball hitter, and he got these from Jay Happ. He is now 35 for 100 with 10 home runs at the Oakland Coliseum this season. Since they've come to Oakland, only 2 other players in Oakland history have done that. Mark McGwire and a pretty good Canadian hitter,
Matt Stairs.
Matty Stairs.
Yep. Matty did it in 97. McGwire did it in 96. And Ryan Healy had 2 homers and 5 RBIs last night. Estrada drops in that curveball for a strike. Matt Stairs in 97 had 42 hits and 16 home runs in 100 at-bats.
In 100 at-bats here at the Oakland Coliseum. And we were saying it last night, this is not an easy park to hit home runs in. But this guy has got a lot of power, and it's in. You can see he's got that high leg kick. And I think that's where Marco's got to really pull the string. Use his curveball, use his changeup to mess up his timing.
There's a good curveball for the strikeout. 3 strikeouts already for Marco.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Streetcar in San Francisco down at Market Street. It'll turn around and go back up over the hill toward Fisherman's Wharf. Great tourist attraction, always a thrill to jump on that cable car. Powell and Mason. Stephen Vogt to catcher. Takes the first pitch downstairs. Vogt batting .224. Vogt is catching for the 31st time this season. Marco with 3 strikeouts. He's among the leaders in strikeouts. He now has 85 strikeouts. Chris Archer started tonight. He's second, entered the play tonight with 95. Chris Sale of the Red Sox has 119 strikeouts. He's the leader in the American League.
I asked him the other day, Marco, I said, how do you like pitching in Oakland? How do you like that ballpark? This is his 10th year in the big leagues. first time that he has pitched in this ballpark. First time. This should suit him well.
It's only the second career start he has made against Oakland. He made a start while pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers, but that was in Milwaukee.
I was so surprised when he said that. When he said that I've never pitched there, so he has nothing to go on.
Vogt hits a high fly ball into center. No problem for Kevin Pillar. He backs up and makes the catch. 2 up, 2 down here in the second. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought for sure, and I even thought I had remembered a game that Marco pitched here in this ballpark, and I started doing the research and found out he'd only made one start.
Yeah, against them. He's from California, so I said, well, are there other ballparks that you haven't pitched in that you'd like to? He said, well, I pitched one time in Los Angeles. He's from the Los Angeles area, and he was pitching in Dodger Stadium, and he wasn't scheduled to pitch. He was out of the bullpen, and the manager asked him if he would like to play there, and he said sure. He went in for 1 inning, gave up 1 run. The guy who got the double, Darwin Barney.
How about that? So Estrada has a good inning here in the second. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the third. Goins, Maile, and Kevin Pillar to lead things off against Jesse Hahn. Jonathan Scope hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the ninth to send it into extra innings, and in trouble came up with that big hit. Brian Goins will lead things off for the Blue Jays. Goins starting at second base tonight. Goins came into the ballgame last night as a pinch hitter, struck out against John Exford in the 7th, and then struck out against Santiago Castilla to lead off the top of the ninth. Brian batting .216 for the season, but it's been a productive .216, 4 homers and 20 RBIs.
20 RBIs. He's made the most of those base hits. Hitting the ball with a little bit more authority.
He's had a good run of late. He went through a stretch when the Blue Jays playing Atlanta where he had about 5 games in a row where he didn't get much offensively going. Then, of course, he had that big grand slam in Milwaukee in interleague play.
We saw him the next day after that on one of the off days, and he was very proudly saying, you know, I own the 2 longest home runs hit this year by the Blue Jays. And at that time, we went back and looked it up, and certainly he did. The one he hit in Anaheim and that one that he hit in Milwaukee. 2 longest home runs.
He crushed both of those balls, and that one in Milwaukee, his first career grand slam. Here he gets a base hit to left field. So Goins gets the leadoff single here in the 3rd.
in the past that he would just serve that ball over there. Now he is hitting, even with 2 strikes, with a little bit more authority. Like I was saying, stayed on that one and lined it to left field. The outfield was playing him the other way, but he was able to line that ball into the outfield. Got a couple of at-bats in last night's game after coming in for Darwin Barney. So it's got to feel good. Get your first hit, first at-bat.
Here's Luke Maile. We mentioned Luke's got a personal 5-game hit streak going. He's starting to swing the bat with some authority. During that streak, he has hit a home run, driven into.
Felt like he was a little bit behind, meaning he wasn't getting his front foot down quick enough, and everything was, he was getting jammed on everything. He just wasn't catching it out front. He's telling himself now to get ready, get that front foot down, and swing just a little earlier.
There goes the runner. Goins was on the move. They'll have to go to first. And Maile moves the runner up into scoring position with that ground ball to third base. Blue Jays have been doing that a little more frequently of late, trying to avoid those double plays. They've already grounded into 1 double play this evening.
You know, I think it has to do with the amount of runs they're scoring with the home run. They're just not manufacturing any runs. They're coming up with base hits with runners in scoring positions. It seems like the only time they can score is when they hit home runs. So John Gibbons says, I got to do something else to get my offense going. We'll see him bunch. We've seen him steal. We've seen him hit and run just a little bit. Something to ignite the offense.
Leadoff man Kevin Pillar with Goins at second. Takes a strike. Hitting has changed over the years, and it's kind of interesting with all the home runs, and you see everybody setting career highs in home runs the last couple of years, and there are a couple of different factors that go into it.
Well, I think some of it is the depth of the bullpens now with all the hard throwers, that you're not going to get 3 straight hits off of some of these relievers that come in. They just throw too hard, and that could be the 5th inning or the 6th inning. Guys have thrown 95 plus, more than I've ever known. So the percentages say, hey, you know, you're not going to get 3 hits in a row to get a run off this guy. So why not take the 3 swings that you have and do some damage with it?
Interesting way to look at things. And you and I both came up at a time where there weren't as many guys that threw in the upper 90s. And you were taught, hey, put the ball in play. Ballparks in general were a little bit bigger, and there was a lot more room for base hits in the outfield. Ballparks have gotten more condensed, and the shifts, I think, has encouraged hitters to try to lift the ball more too.
I think there's a lot of information, a lot more information out there for offenses and defenses. You were talking about it last week. Hey, the scouting report was pitch this guy in, pitch this guy away, play him away, pitch him in. You know, that kind of thing. It was simple. Now it's there's a little bit more to it because there's more information.
Jose Bautista standing next to Brooke Jacoby, talking about the pitcher they're looking at for the first time. And it never hurts to pick the hitting coach's brain. Say, what do you think? What should I look for next time? You can't go up to the plate and try to hit every pitch. You got to pick one. Say, okay, I'm going to look breaking ball. I'm going to look fastball. Until you get 2 strikes, of course. Bautista, he is really a student of pitching.
Yes, he's a student of the game of baseball. He's got his PhD and master's in baseball.
2-2. Outside, now a full count.
But the information also, I think, goes to the video information. I mean, every game is on television now. Back in the day, not every game was on TV, so you didn't have video of every pitcher that you were going to face that you could study. Remember when it was something when guys would walk on the plane with little video recorders to watch themselves hit?
Pillar rips it into center field. That's going to be caught by Rajay Davis as Goins hustles back. Boy, Pillar's had 2 good at-bats and nothing to show for it. He lined out to left his first time up and hits a seed to center right at Rajay Davis.
Don't get discouraged. Find the positives in that you're hitting the ball with a little bit of authority now. Don't get discouraged and think yourself into a slump. You're hitting the ball hard. They owe you a couple of bloopers now.
Josh Donaldson had a base hit to left field his first time up. Goins at second after a leadoff single. Donaldson, this is his 70. He has 75 fewer games with the Blue Jays than he does with the Oakland A's. But he's hit 21 more home runs and 4 more RBIs with the Jays than he did with Oakland. Suggests the ballparks might be a factor there.
Lineups. Blue Jays lineup a little bit more dangerous. It's a good curveball right there from Hahn. Donaldson hitting in the number 2 spot in the Blue Jays lineup.
Josh got a battle here. 0-2. Jesse Hahn ahead. Goins at second. Ground ball up the middle. Rosales behind second. Not in time. Here comes Goins to the plate. And he's going to be tagged out. Ryan Goins is tagged out. Nice play by Yonder Alonso. Donaldson is safe on an infield hit, but the run is cut down at the plate. Goins trying to score from second on the base hit. It's thrown out by the first baseman, Yonder Alonso.
The Hormel Black Label.
You can see he was telling Troy Tulowitzki the bat was in the way. Louis Rivera gambling to try to score him on this infield hit by Josh Donaldson.
Thought it was heading into center field for a hit. Josh is safe, but there's the bat once again. We saw that in last night's game where Kevin Pillar could not score. But Rosales does a good job of getting to it. Can't get much on the throw, so it's a base hit. Blue Jays trying to be aggressive and score a run from second base. Jays finally come up with a hit.
That base hit snaps a streak of 0 for 34 with runners in scoring position. But they still don't score a run. Josh Donaldson got a base hit, and here's Goins. He looks over his shoulder, and Louis Rivera sends him home. And you can see that bat right in the path of where Goins would have liked to take a slide and maybe swipe his hand across home plate.
0 for 34. That's one off. The Kansas City Royals had an 0 for 35.
This year, that was the longest 0 for with runners in scoring position. This is popped up. Lots of room and foul ground. Justin Smoke coming over. Makes the catch. One away. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell.
Center fielder, number 11, Rob
Really interesting. Kimbrel has been terrific this year. I believe he's given up 2 hits to right-handed batters all season long. And you know what? The league's going to follow suit in what the Blue Jays did against Aaron Judge and use that fastball. And now he's going to have to counteract that adjustment. 5-4 Boston.
It was late in the series where they finally figured out, well, let's pump some fastballs up and in and see what happens. Had success, and it seems like the Red Sox are doing the same thing. See, Drew Pomeranz started that game through 123 pitches in 5 innings.
I guess it's because of all the home runs. People get very defensive. Rajai Davis hits one off the end of the bat. Goins throws him out. 2 quick outs here in the 3rd. Coming into that game tonight, Craig Kimbrel of the Red Sox indeed had allowed just 2 hits in 49 at-bats to right-handed hitters.
I saw Mark Trumbo got a hit off of him. I don't know who the other guy is.
Yeah, he has really been
Nasty.
throwing the ball well.
His breaking ball, I don't know if you had a chance to see him this year. His breaking ball is filthy.
Chad Pinder takes that curveball. Marco's used the curveball a little bit more early in this game than we've seen the last couple of games.
Get him off his fastball.
One nothing Oakland. They scored a run in the 1st inning on a sac fly off the bat of Chris Davis. Since then, Marco has retired 6 in a row. Boy, that's a good changeup. That's the location that he wanted last time out against the Yankees. He just couldn't get it down there.
Yeah, that's right. Gary Sanchez hit a couple of home runs off of those hanging changeups. They were up.
Fly ball down toward the Blue Jays bullpen. Long run for Smoke, and he's not going to get there. You know, this is the one thing that always made this ballpark such a tough hitter's ballpark. Not only is it cool ballpark, heavy air, ball doesn't carry an awful lot, but look at the foul territory. In most ballparks, you hit a foul pop-up, it's out of play. Here, you've got to hold your breath until it hits in the seats or falls fair down the lines. Strike 3 called. Pinder called out on strikes. Marco Estrada retired 7 in a row. We'll go to the 4th.
Blue Jays and enter the code MBJ8975 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Code must be entered by 4 a.m. You can look for a new code tomorrow. By the way, that is John and Kelly Stark celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary. Kelly surprised her husband from Surrey, BC, with a trip down here to Oakland. Watch the Blue Jays. A happy 30th wedding anniversary to John and Kelly.
Indeed. Congratulations, John and Kelly. Good to have you here at the ballpark. course, we'll be in Seattle Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We want everybody to show up there, okay?
Last one out of Canada, close the door.
Really? Going to be a great weekend in Seattle. So we want you all to show up, come on down and watch the Blue Jays take on the Mariners. Nelson Cruz is really starting to heat up. He had a scare the other day, got hit by a pitch. It looked pretty serious, but he's now just 2 home runs shy of 300 for his career. Bautista grounds it to third, and there's another error by Oakland. Ryan Healy picks up his 7th error at third base. A high throw. He had plenty of time, and that is the 59th error committed by the Oakland A's.
Easily most in the American League. This is a throwing error. He stays down nice, and that throw is going to sail on him for another error. They have the most errors at pitching. Catchers have 10 errors. They have the most errors by center fielders and the most by the right fielder. I mean, it has been a tough year fielding wise for this team.
Morales fouls it off. You know, a lot of the problems for these infielders, we talk about the spacious foul territory. You look over there at that first baseman, and there's like 50 yards of territory behind him. And if you miss him, he's liable to be 2 bases. So that can be intimidating as well. Morales grounded into a double play in the first inning.
Boy, there's nothing like fielding. If you can't field and give major league hitters extra outs, I mean, it is nerve-wracking for the manager. There should be 1 out, and you're facing Morales. Now you got a guy at first base, nobody out, and it puts a little bit more pressure on that pitcher.
The A's, because of their poor defense, have allowed 40 unearned runs. By far the most in baseball.
That's in 57 games.
It's a lot of runs, boy.
40 unearned runs in 57 games.
Plus all the extra pitches you put on the pitchers. Bautista singled his first time up. He's reached on an error here to start the 4th. Blue Jays have 4 hits. Three and one now.
See the pressure it puts on that guy. He's got a deal. He knows he's a home run hitter, and if he makes a mistake, he could be losing. So he's trying to nibble on those corners now to Morales instead of going right after him.
Full foul, it's a full count. You would expect that the Blue Jays might start Bautista in this situation. Morales, we mentioned, he hit into a double play in the first. He has grounded into 12 double plays. So with him at the plate, Bautista at first, you might start the runner with smoke on deck.
And if he swings through it, Stephen Vogt, the catchers, 2 for 33, throwing out base stealers this year.
You got to run. Bautista was running. He was leaning towards second, and Jesse Hahn picked up on him.
Doesn't have a very big lead over there, so treating this like a hit and run.
You got to make sure he goes to the plate. There goes Bautista, lined off the glove of Lowry, and everybody's going to be safe. Just the fact that they started the runner may have created a distraction for Jed Lowry, the second baseman, and Morales reaches.
He made a couple of really nice plays in the ball game last night. Line drive, short hops like that, where he picked them and saved runs and saved base runners for the A's. Can't come up with this one. Ball is hit right on the nose by Morales, and even better, he can't find it and can't come up with it.
It's a base hit for Kendrys. You mentioned the play he made last night. Lowry made a play on Kendrys Morales in the 3rd inning, an unassisted play where he stepped on the bag at second on a hot shot up the middle. So now the Blue Jays, with the error and a base hit, got something going here in the 4th against Jesse Hahn. Smoke hits it on the ground. Lowry will go to second for 1. Back to first in time. Smoke hustling down the line, but he is called out at first by Chris Siegel. And John Gibbons wants to look at it. They're going to take a look at their video replay. Tim Leeper, the first base coach, indicating he felt that Smoke beat the relay.
And the clock is counting down for the Blue Jays. They just have 30 seconds to make a decision. There it goes, under 10. Good. Time for a decision. Here comes the crew chief, and they want to take a look at it.
Well, they took the full 30 seconds, didn't they? So Jerry Davis, the crew chief, he's down at 3rd base. He will join the first base umpire, Chris Siegel, and put the headset on and communicate with New York. The call on the field is double play, and the Blue Jays are going to ask the umpires to review the play at first. Both of these double plays have involved Morales and Smoke, and neither one of them run particularly well. So Smoke was really hustling up the line trying to avoid this play. And let's take a look at that. Foot on the base. Ball's not in the glove yet. It looks like that one might get overturned.
If that's the angle that they use right there, that's going to be a base runner at first base for the Blue Jays. No double play. Adam Rosales, the shortstop, looked like he just couldn't get a lot on that throw to first base. From that one replay, it looked like Smoke beat it out.
Well, it's a big call for the Blue Jays. It would be 1st and 3rd with 1 out, and Troy Tulowitzki at the plate. They have their ruling, and it's safe. Smoke is safe at first. So instead of a double play, it's a fielder's choice. Morales is out at second. 4-6 on the fielder's choice. Bautista goes to third, and watch Smoke. He knows he's got to get out of the box and hustle.
Yeah, he stumbled momentarily coming out of that box, but you could see he was gaining some speed with those long strides as he got closer to first base. Beats it out, and now it gives Tulowitzki a chance to drive a runner in.
1st and 3rd, Blue Jays are down 1-0. Hard breaking ball for ball 1. Tulowitzki, 14 RBIs. He was retired on a good play by the 3rd baseman, Ryan Healy, his first time up. Ground ball, base hit through the right side. Tulowitzki drives home Jose Bautista, and the Blue Jays have tied it. There's another unearned run charged to the Oakland A's. That's 41 unearned runs as Bautista reached on the air by the 3rd baseman.
It's just so hard to overcome errors against good hitting ball club. Think about if that play was made at 3rd base, then Morales, they can play the shift and they can play deep, so that line drive that he hit, that was going to be gobbled up. That would have been an out, and then Smoke grounded out. Instead, you got runners at 1st and 2nd, a run in already, and just 1 out. Blue Jays still hitting, all because of that one error.
Ezekiel Carrera lays off that pitch. It's called a strike.
And like you said, more pitches for that pitcher. And when guys are only on 100 pitch counts, they can only throw 100 pitches in a game. Every pitch is important. Every play becomes very important.
Carrera gets hit by the pitch, and that'll load the bases. So again, this is Jesse Hahn's first start coming off the disabled list. He last pitched on May 31st in a rehab start down in the A-ball team in Stockton.
Said he got his arm strength back, and it's unwinding for him here as he hits Carrera right in the thigh.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Lots of Blue Jays fans here at the Coliseum taking in this 3-game series, and I have talked to some that are going to make the trek up to Seattle. It's a nice drive up to Seattle. It's an off day on Thursday. The Blue Jays will open up that series against the Mariners on Friday night. So here is Ryan Goins with the bases loaded. Goes after the first pitch. Second for one, back to first, double play. So the Blue Jays bounce into a double play to end the inning, but they have tied it on the RBI single by Troy Tulowitzki.
Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, you'll measure your heart rate in RPMs.
Sun going down here in Oakland as the Blue Jays have tied it up. Troy Tulowitzki with an RBI single, top of the fourth. It's now a 1-1 game. The Blue Jays with 6 hits already against Jesse Hahn. Marco Estrada gave up a first inning run on a couple of hits and a sac fly, but since then he has settled down very effectively.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good right now, the way he's using that curveball early on. Hasn't thrown as many changeups as we have seen in the past. I think that is by design against this hard-hitting team.
Jed Lowry, the second baseman, goes after the first pitch. Marco has retired 8 in a row. Lowry had a base hit to right field. He had a curveball into right field for a base hit. Marco, as we have seen so often, after struggling a little bit to get his command in the first inning, really zeroes in after that, and that's been the pattern here tonight.
Getting a feel for that pitching mound, getting a feel for his release point. He gave up a couple of hits, a couple base runners in that first inning. The A's scored on a sacrifice fly by Chris Davis with a little help from the speed of Rajay Davis. But since then, Marco's been zeroed in. He's a fly ball type of pitcher, and in this ballpark, that's okay. Ball doesn't really carry.
Curveball, and Lowry was all over that pitch. He was looking for that one with 2 strikes, fouled it back. Well, I agree with you. The ball doesn't normally carry in this ballpark.
Normally.
It's a different story this year. The A's have hit 53 home runs at home in 29 games. Last year, they hit 60 home runs all season long. Check that. In 2015, they hit 60 home runs. Last year, they hit 67 all season long.
A little bit different type of ball club, or fly ball type of team. I like that pitch right there. You're going to sit on my curveball and take a big hack like that with 2 strikes. I'm going to dust you back off the plate.
Lowry backs out again to regroup and gather his thoughts. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Might see the changeup right here. Boom, pull the string.
Another fastball. Marco's done a nice job. Well, we say Marco, it's obviously Luke Maile who is catching him, because Marco goes with whatever the catchers call. And that has been a very successful approach for Estrada. Just commit to the pitch, trust it. Something he picked up from Mark Burley when they were teammates.
Just concentrate on executing the pitch. Here it comes.
And it got him. That changeup does the trick. That's 5 strikeouts for Estrada.
He threw it at the right time. A couple of curveballs early on. Felt like he was on that. Fastball up, fastball in, and then you drop that on him. Pretty nasty stuff. As a hitter, you just wait for that ball to get there. It just doesn't get there.
Tell you, as a catcher, catching a pitcher as talented at executing as Marco Estrada, it's like a mad scientist in the lab. How about a little of this and some of that and a couple of these, and we'll
stir it all up.
Stir it all up. A lot of fun.
Batter's hitting .218 this year off of that changeup.
Chris Davis had the sac fly in the first. Hit a fly ball to right field. It was just a medium depth fly ball toward the foul line, and Bautista got over there, but Davis just outran the throw, and Jose's throw was offline. Bautista over near the line. He's got room. Foul ground, makes the catch. 2 away.
Well, when you've got a pitch like Marco Estrada has, you got to use it, and he'll use it 37% of the time. If he starts to feel like guys are starting to sit on it and look for it, he's got other ways to go. And tonight he's starting to move that changeup, or excuse me, the curveball into the mix with the changeup. I've seen some fastballs, but he'll use it a lot. Most in baseball.
Yonder Alonso struck out on the changeup his first time up, and he waves at that 78-mile-an-hour pitch. Foul back in our direction. It's quickly 0-2. Estrada now has 5 strikeouts. He mentioned he was 3rd in the American League behind Chris Sale and Chris Archer. Archer struck out 11 tonight. That's the 4th game in a row pitching at home with double-digit strikeouts for Archer.
3 11s and 1 12.
So Archer now has 106 strikeouts. He trails Chris Sale, who has 119. And with 5, Estrada has 87. He thought he had 88.
Took a little half a step off the mound. I thought he had it too. That was a good looking changeup. Put it in the right spot.
Estrada is set. Here's the 2-2 to Alonso. Curveball. Boy, he's throwing the kitchen sink at him tonight. That curveball's been a good pitch for him. He's had good bite on it.
throws it right out of the same arm slot as his fastball. And a fastball can rise, throw that high fastball, then you throw that curveball that's straight down.
Full count now as the A's have 2 outs. It's a 1-1 game. Another changeup. Alonso strikes out for a second time. We'll go to the 5th in this tie ball game. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. It's Jamie Campbell with Craig Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Was the longest drought in franchise history. Kevin Pillar told me today, look, turning that around, it has to start now. Pillar said as a team, the Blue Jays can do a better job advancing the leadoff double at third base. We understand how important that can be to win games, Pillar said. And he said you have to take that at bat like nobody is on base. John Gibbons says it's vital, of course, to hit with runners in scoring position. He said a nice, simple, ugly single can do wonders sometimes, that you need cheap hits here and there, and said, quote, we're overdue to do that.
Indeed they were, and they came up with a big hit, and it didn't lead to a run. But when you look at the top teams in baseball with runners in scoring position, Colorado leads, batting .315, Washington .306, Baltimore .302, and the Mets .301. That's hard to imagine, hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position. The Blue Jays as a team hitting .221 coming into this game. Oakland is the worst. They have a .208 average with runners in scoring position. Then Chicago Cubs .218 with runners in scoring position.
So it's not just the pitching that's had the Cubs down. I think hitting with runners in scoring position is a state of mind. I think you have to be confident when you are batting. Luke Maile strikes out. That's the first strikeout tonight for Jesse Hahn for the first out here in the 5th inning. I think you have to don't put so much pressure on. Hitting's hard to begin with. What you don't want to do is put a little added extra pressure on and start thinking about, gosh, I got to get a hit here because it means a run.
Well, you had such success against pitchers with the bases loaded. What was your mindset batting in those situations?
Try to keep it simple. And one year I did not have a good year, and I was thinking about the outcome before I would step up to the batter's box. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope I get a hit here. I hope, because I want to, you know, hit with the bases loaded. I hope I get a hit. Well, that's a negative thought. And all winter long, I kept thinking, you know, what went wrong? What was wrong with my thinking process heading up to the mound or up to the plate? And it was the pressure's on the pitcher. He's got to come to me.
Pillar rips that high fastball into right. He's headed for second. Here's the throw. It's a good throw right on the money. And he is gunned down. Chad Pinder with a terrific throw from right. Remember, he's making just his second start in right field. I mean, he threw a seed, a one-hop strike to Adam Rosales.
That's an athletic move right there. He's got shortstop, middle infield baseball skills, and so he hustles over there. This ball is right down the line, picks it up, 360, and fires a one-hop accurate throw right to the shortstop. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to look at this one because there's no chance at second base as Rosales applies the tag.
That's as good an outfield throw as we have seen all year long.
It was low. It was a one-hopper, and when it hit the grass, it stayed low, so the fielder could just catch it and apply the tag.
It was a long hop, and that's what infielders love to get on those throws from the outfield. That long hop, nice easy ball to catch on one hop. But boy, you don't see outfielders throwing like that very often anymore.
The accuracy, that's the thing that was impressive. Good looking throw. Last thought on hitting with runners in scoring position. You have to put one thought in your mind that's a positive thought, whatever that is. You have to come up with a saying that you keep telling yourself up at the plate where it becomes very positive. And what that does is it closes off all the other surroundings of the game. You don't think about the score, the inning, the pitcher, just that one thought positively, constantly saying in your mind over and over again. And it should help. I'll tell you what, your brain's a pretty powerful thing. It can convince yourself into a lot of things.
Absolutely it is. And if you have any moment of hesitation while you're trying to hit a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, you're going to get beat.
Yep.
3-2 pitch to Donaldson. He swings and misses at the breaking ball. The Blue Jays get a base hit, but Chad Pinder throws out Pilar, trying to stretch it into a double. Still tied.
With the MLB.com at-bat mobile app, you can stay connected to the game's best players all season long with Game Day, live game video highlights, radio broadcast stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. And on that app tonight, it's all about Scooter. Scooter Gennett, 4-home run day, the first time in Reds history that happened.
Scooter Gennett drove in 10 runs in a 13-1 win, and that game was started by Adam Wainwright, who had been throwing the ball very well. This is a first pitch swing by Ryan Healy. High fly ball. Nobody sees it. Pilar sees it finally. Carrera was standing in left field with his arms outstretched saying, I don't see it. It's still twilight here in Oakland. And you can see Pilar said, I heard you. And I came over and he was able to make the catch. He had a better angle on it and picked it up and makes the catch.
You heard him say, I didn't see it, and the communication's been better. There's Zeke out in the outfield. If you can't see it now, you got to get a lot of help from your outfielders. Tomorrow it's going to be tough at that day game. Pilar never gives up on any play.
That's 12 straight retired, and there's the sky that Carrera was dealing with. Never saw it come off the bat.
Okay, you were just talking about Scooter Gennett and the unbelievable, I mean unbelievable game he has. The 6th left-handed hitter to hit 4 home runs in a game. 6th.
The 17th overall. No Reds player had ever hit 4 home runs in a game, and Gennett's the first Reds player to hit 3 home runs in a game since Joey Votto did it in June of 2015.
A Cincinnati kid holding a Cincinnati Reds record.
How about that? Pretty special. 10 RBIs, also a Reds club record. The last Reds player with 8 RBIs in a game, Ken Griffey Jr. against the Indians in July of 2000. Big night for Scooter Gennett. Congratulations.
You know 2 of those left-handed batters who had Blue Jay ties?
Carlos Delgado and Sean Green. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell.
Left fielder, number 20, Mark Canha.
Houston, the best team in the American League by far. The most wins in the majors for the Astros, and a terrific win streak comes to an end.
They were leading that game 7-3 late.
Mark Canha goes after the first pitch. That's a fair ball. It'll go up against the wall. Vogt is headed for third. Carrera drops it. And now the relay throw. Tulowitzki's got a shot at the plate, and they tag him out. What a relay by Tulowitzki. And a great tag by Luke Maile. Maile stayed inside the baseline, gave Tulowitzki a good target. Carrera hit the cutoff man, and Vogt is nailed at home plate.
It looked like a run when Carrera bobbled the ball right there, but he did the right thing. He got it quickly to Tulowitzki, and Tulo with a cannon to the plate to get the runner. They give him a lane to slide in, and Luke Maile, showing off that athleticism as a catcher, catches it, and like a first baseman, comes back all in one motion sweep tag and gets him at the plate.
Great execution of the cutoff and relay by Tulowitzki, and Tulo's got a terrific arm. Carrera did a nice job to hit Tulowitzki, and Tulowitzki turned and fired a strike to Luke Maile at the plate. So the batter runner Canha now at third base, and look out. Rosales gets one up and in. 2 outs now.
It's a good time just to step off the plate right here. It wasn't trying to do that. That one was a fastball that got away from Marco. I was watching him after that and said, hey man, that's my bad. Didn't mean to do that.
Adam Rosales, the shortstop, takes one down and away for ball 2. Tulowitzki quickly comes in from short. He has some words of advice for Estrada. Remember, these two played college baseball together. Long Beach State. Tulo, he always senses the right time to go to the mound, doesn't he?
Yes. I think he sensed that he was off just a little bit after that first pitch got away from him, up and in.
Luke Maile, he's like a heavyweight boxer, man. He gets hit more than a heavyweight boxer. Watch his mask here. right off the mask, and that rocked his world.
It looks harmless, doesn't it?
It is not harmless.
It's not. It looks like another foul ball.
That knocks your chin back into your ears. Russell Martin will be back in there tomorrow to catch Francisco Liriano. Rosales, 2-1 count. That's a good pitch right at the knees.
Better location tonight on all of his pitches. His changeup has been down. His fastball has been down. Been using a little more of the curveball tonight. Looks like he might try one right here.
Good call. Tulowitzki's not going to be able to make the play. Rosales hits a base hit and drives in the go-ahead run. He got the curveball, but he left it up, and Rosales hits it off the shortstop's glove. It's his 14th RBI.
Tell you what, Adam Rosales plays the game the right way. That's why he's been around for a while on different teams. A tough at bat with 2 outs. It hustles all the way down the line. Tulowitzki, it's off his glove. I don't know if he comes up with that, if he's able to get him at first base. But a tough at bat results in an RBI hit.
Remember how that at bat started. Estrada threw one up around his helmet and he had to bail out. Davis goes after the first pitch. Tulowitzki throws on the money. So the inning is over, but the A's take the lead. Adam Rosales with an RBI.
Series goes back to Pittsburgh. Preds Penguins tied at 2 apiece. Game 5 Thursday night, 8 Eastern on Sportsnet and the CBC. Chris Letang, Mike Sullivan said, out for the series, 0 chance he'll come back. And the Penguins coach Buck said, expect Matt Murray to start Game 5.
Well, he's given up 8 goals in the 2 losses, so he's going to be in there. A vote of confidence from his coach. Jesse Hahn now pitching with the lead. Hasn't walked anybody. 2 strikeouts, just 71 pitches through 5 innings. Jose Bautista will lead things off. Cuts on the first pitch. We mentioned Hahn made a rehab start on May 31st over in Stockton in the California League. Pitched 5 1/3. Gave up 4 hits. Had 4 strikeouts, but that's not the big news. The big news is that Brett Siddle played in that game for the Oakland Stockton Ball Club. Brett was the DH that night. He went 1 for 2 with a double. Joe Siddle's son, of course. Joe is the radio announcer, proud papa. Joe came out for about 5 days and got to see Brett play over in Stockton. He and his wife Tamara got to see their son play. in the California League.
Oh, and we got the scouting report from Joe. How did Brett do? Line drive to left field. He's always been that type of hitter. Hit a double, played some outfield, DH'd a game. Good for them.
High fly ball into right. Long run for Pinder. That is in fair territory. He had a long way to go. He was shading in Bautista in the alley in right center and makes the catch in fair territory. One away here in the 6th.
That's 2 pretty good plays by Pinder in the outfield. We mentioned the throw last inning to get Pilar at second base. He came a long way, showing off again his athleticism. That's a fair ball. He doesn't get to that. That might be a double for Bautista. He runs it down.
Pinder also has 7 home runs, and one of the longest home runs they have hit here this season. First pitch fastball from Jesse Hahn. Oakland now with a 2-1 lead. That curveball down and in. Boy, Morales has seen a lot of curveballs from right-handers in the last 3 weeks.
Some slow curveballs right underneath his bat. I'm going to have to lay off of them. A lot of them aren't strikes.
Three and one now. Ball in the dirt. Smoke's on deck.
Well, you can see why Jesse Hahn doesn't give up many home runs. Ball's moving. Little two-seamer. Good slider. Good breaking ball.
Hahn has allowed just 1 home run all season long. That was to the Rangers' Joey Gallo way back on April 19th. Ground ball, big hop for the second baseman, Jed Lowry. 2 away.
Buy 6 cans of Beauty Tone paint and get the 7th free. Available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts.
Two away. Heston Smoke. He was called out on a double play in the 4th. Blue Jays asked for the video review and the call was overturned. So he was awarded first base on a fielder's choice, and that would lead to a run for the Blue Jays as Tulowitzki then singled to right field. Stephen Vogt's going to go to the mound as the bullpen starts to work.
I was asking Smokey today about the ball he hit to left field, and he said, honestly, I thought I was going to have to slide into second base. He goes, I was sprinting up that first baseline thinking that ball was going to be off the wall, and I was just trying to get to second base, but it carried out of here for his 15th home run. Very aware of everything. He was really shocked how far that ball went to left field.
You saw the lefty Daniel Coulomb working down in their bullpen. The A's have just one left-hander. 3-0 count to Justin Smoke. Taking all the way. He doesn't like to swing 3-0.
No, he doesn't. He says that I don't mind watching the ball. Sometimes if I feel comfortable, maybe.
He'll take ball 4, 2-out walk. So Smoke will go to first. Troy Tulowitzki will come to the plate. Tulowitzki had the RBI single his last time up.
Number 2, Troy Tulowitzki.
Tulowitzki had 2 hits in the game last night. Oh, he's 3 for 6 so far in this series. Outside.
Rushing to try and finish off this inning, and he's missing his spots now. He's got a pretty good looking two-seam fastball, and he's not afraid to use it.
2-0. Right at the top of the zone. Jesse Hahn is 27 years old. He was acquired from the San Diego Padres along with R.J. Alvarez for Derek Norris. He was the key player in that. They also picked up an international bonus slot from San Diego. There's another ball. Hahn was originally signed by the Rays. Came out of Virginia Tech University.
We've seen that over the years, haven't we, from Oakland? Dealing off a veteran player with major league service time for young players. Blue Jays faced one last night in Sean Manaea.
Strike 2. Full count now with 2 outs. You see Stephen Vogt coming out to remind the infielders a runner will be going from first. So if you have a ground ball, chances are your best play will be over to first.
Blue Jays get a head start over there with Smoke. As soon as he picks up that left leg, take off. See if you can score on a double.
3-2. Tulowitzki hits it high in the air to left. Canner backing up further on the middle of the warning track, and he makes the catch. Tulowitzki's retired to end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Oakland has a 2-1 lead.
Comfort Zone contest. On any Tuesday, you can post a video or photo of you showing your Blue Jays spirit along with hashtag TD Tuesday and at Blue Jays to Twitter or Instagram. For details and rules, visit bluejays.com/TD contest.
Beautiful full moon here on a gorgeous evening in Oakland. Marco Estrada has allowed just 2 runs on 4 hits, walked 1 and struck out 6 so far. The A's bottom of the order got to him with 1 out in the 5th. Stephen Vogt walked and was thrown out at home plate, but then Adam Rosales had an infield base hit to give the A's the lead.
He's got Chad Pinder talking to himself on that changeup. He has struck him out a couple of times tonight with it.
Another curveball. He has really had a good curveball. This is the best curveball he's had all season long. Been able to throw it consistently for strikes, and he's really cut down on the number of changeups he's thrown tonight.
Even things out just a little bit more. We had that graphic earlier on that shows you he's thrown the changeup 37% of the time. You might get one here now. After that high fastball, come back with that slow changeup.
There it is. Right on time. That changeup gets the strikeout. 7 strikeouts now for Marco.
The difference between his changeup tonight and his last start against the Yankees, it's down. That's where he's got to live with it. He knows that. This is where he wants to throw it. Down there, where the batter has to reach for it. He puts it on the outside corner. Good pitch. Third time he's got Chad Pinder tonight.
Jed Lowry is 1 for 2. He has singled and struck out. There's a cutter. We haven't seen many of those tonight, but he hasn't needed it to this point. He's allowed just 4 hits. Marco making his first start here at the Coliseum, and it's just his second career start against Oakland. Well, he has really bounced back after a short outing last time out. He lasted just 3 2/3 against the Yankees and gave up 7 runs on 9 hits.
Good pitch. He's always been Mr. Reliable this year. Mentioned that shortest outing of the season by Estrada. Snapped a streak of at least 6 innings pitched, 9 straight starts. I mean, that's what you want from your start. Give me at least 6 innings.
Tonight he's had these A's hitter looking for the opposite pitches that he's throwing.
Yeah, they look for the fastball, and he's throwing them the changeup. And it's a cool night too. I mean, he looks fresh.
Curveball. Lowry hits that curveball into right. Second time he's got a base hit on that hook.
Available Honda Sensing in the all-new 2017 CR-V, designed to help keep you safe wherever you play. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful shot of the Golden Gate Bridge connecting San Francisco to Marin County. Chris Davis is the DH tonight. He goes after the first pitch and hits it high and deep to center. Pilar's on the run. He's not going to get it. Bounce off the wall. Here comes Jed Lowry around third. He's going to score. And the A's have taken a 3-1 lead. Chris Davis with his second RBI of the night. He now has driven in 36.
Had a sacrifice fly in the first inning when Rajai Davis got himself to third base with less than 2 outs. This time he's going to score that runner from first base. Opens up that lower half, and he's looking to hit the ball hard to center or to left field. It's a high pitch. Hits it over the head of Pilar as Kevin goes back. He can't catch up to it. Bounces away from him. That allows Lowry to come around to score the 3rd run of the night for the A's.
Chris Davis 2 for 3. He is 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Lowry's got 2 hits. Yonder Alonso, he has been shut down by Estrada. A couple of strikeouts in his 2 plate appearances. Dominic Leone just recalled from AAA Buffalo. He didn't arrive until just about game time, as he is replacing Devin Travis on the active roster. In case you have just joined us, Devin Travis was put on the DL with a deep knee bruise and some cartilage issues. He will fly to New York to get that knee checked out. 1 pitch to Alonso.
I was watching Chris Davis run on that double and came out of the game yesterday. You mentioned with the calf injury. Chris wasn't running all that hard, so a base hit into the outfield is not a guarantee that he's going to score. Just jogged into second base, wasn't really pushing himself.
Good fastball in a good spot. Alonso, he's been shaking his head all night long trying to figure out Marco Estrada. He's had a good run over his last 10 games, and he's also been one of the best clutch hitters in the American League.
Marco's got him a couple of times tonight with the changeup.
2-2 now, 1 out. Chris Davis at second. That calf injury is in his right calf. You see the lefty Aaron Loop has joined Dominic Leone in the Blue Jays pen. Just outside, full count.
Just laid off of that. He has seen that changeup a couple of times tonight. There's last night's hero.
Brian Healy on deck. 2 homers, 5 RBIs last night. Another great changeup by Marco, and Alonso strikes out for the 3rd time tonight.
All of them on changeups. He's shaking his head. He didn't think he'd get another one, 3-2. But he pulls the string, puts it in a good spot. Another strikeout. He's got Pinder 3 times, Alonso 3 times, Lowry and Healy for his 8 strikeouts.
Here is Ryan Healy, the 3rd baseman. 0 for 2. Drive to left. Carrera loses it in the lights, and it goes all the way to the wall. Davis is in to score. That ball got in the lights, and Carrera was battling, trying to get an angle on that ball, but he reached for it and couldn't make the play. So Healy drives in another run, a 2-run inning for the A's here in the 6th.
Those line drives into the outfield, you want them to go above the lights or stay below, and that one looked like it stayed right in the light standard. Battling it all the way. Saw it right at the last second and then reached out. No chance.
4th double of the night, and Estrada thought he had a chance to get out of the inning right there, but another run comes in with 2 outs. So it's 4-1 Oakland. Pete Walker checking with the status as John Gibbons going to make a change here. Stephen Vogt is the batter. Aaron Loop, the lefty, is ready down in the pen. He's going to come on to face Stephen Vogt, the catcher, with 2 outs here in the 6th, and Oakland has a 4-1 lead. Estrada out of the game. Loop coming in.
work of late. He says, I'm in a good place and throwing with confidence. A part of that is because he's pleased with his fastball command and how his changeup is working. But also Loup is happy with the development of his slider. It was last month, but he felt he needed to tighten it up, get the velocity up, and make it more of a true slider with less of a curve to it. He's throwing it every day when pitchers come out early, and Loup said he's getting a real feel for the slider because of it.
It's really helped him to neutralize both lefties and righties, and he's going to deal with a pinch hitter. It'll be Josh Phegley pinch hitting for Stephen Vogt. Marco Estrada out of the game. 5 2/3, 4 runs on 7 hits, a base runner at second. Ryan Healy, his responsibility.
You know what Aaron thinks when he thinks slider? He tells himself, think cutter. And it's been a good pitch for him. Felt like the long curveball, the big slurvy curveball that he had, was the batters were able to pick it up just a little bit easier. Now it complements his fastball when he can throw that slider in on their hands.
Phegley, the pinch hitter, is 1 for 2 as a pinch hitter. He has hit a pinch hit home run. Cut on and missed. Loup has allowed just 2 of 14 inherited base runners to score. He and Danny Barnes have been the leaders in that category. They have both done a great job of coming in and pitching out of jams. There's that breaking ball.
Well, he's got reverse splits, meaning he's better against right-handed batters than he is against left-handed batters this year in terms of batting average. And I asked him about that, and he said one of the reasons why is I can get that fastball in on the right-handers, but my changeup's a lot better this year. I can throw that down and away to the right-handers and had a lot of success with it so far.
Just foul. Hit sharply, but foul down the left field line. Stephen Vogt, the starter, 0 for 1 with a walk. He was thrown out at home plate trying to score from first in the 5th inning. And you can see him pulling for his catching partner, Josh Phegley. Phegley, a 208 average. Reaches for that outside pitch.
Putting up a fight against Aaron.
The hits are even at 7 apiece, but the A's have a 4-1 lead, and there's a changeup, and Phegley strikes out. Another good job by Aaron Loup to close out the inning, but Oakland scores 2 here, and we go to the 7th. 6 innings in his return to the active roster. He pitched very effectively. He didn't allow an earned run. 7 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and threw 92 pitches over those 6 innings. So we go to the 7th, the pitching change. Daniel Colon pitching now. He's making his 23rd appearance. He's the only left-hander in the A's bullpen.
And the Blue Jays have, or had, a couple of left-handers scheduled. Colon was acquired by the A's from the Dodgers for cash considerations. There's Josh Begley, who stays in the ball game. His fastball, above average curveball with some depth, good command with it, and a solid changeup. Not a guy who's going to overpower you, but throw plenty of strikes.
So Ezekiel Carrera was the scheduled batter. You can see Darwin Barney comes on as a pinch hitter. Darwin batting .234 this season. He's 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter. Outside, 2-0. Colon making his first appearance against the Blue Jays.
Herrera just all kind of problems this year against left-handed pitching. Just 1 for 17. So John Gibbons is going to go to his bench and bring in a right-hander.
And Colon falls behind 3-0 to the pinch hitter Darwin Barney.
This is where they have had problems. The Oakland A's this year. Middle relief. It's what makes those last 2 runs that they scored last inning so tough. Now they got to deal with a 3-run deficit.
A 4-pitch walk to the pinch hitter, and that starts the inning. Don't let overbooking ruin your workday. Fly with WestJet. They don't overbook their flights.
Now batting.
So Barney draws the leadoff walk, and now Ryan Goins will come to the plate. Goins is 1 for 2. Goins was thrown out at home plate trying to advance from second to score on the infield hit by Josh Donaldson back in the 3rd. There have been 2 runners cut down at home in this ball game. Goins for the Blue Jays thrown out in the 3rd, and Stephen Vogt of the A's thrown out trying to score from first on a Mark Canha double in the 5th.
Blue Jays have also had a runner thrown out at second base. Kevin Pillar trying to stretch a single into a double.
Good fastball at 93. 0-2. Goins just 5 for 26 against lefty pitching this season. Good breaking ball. That strikes out Goins.
Yeah, that's his best pitch. Curveball with depth. He's got good command with it. Couldn't get to the curveball against Barney because he kept falling behind.
Now batting.
Finishes off that at bat. Sharp.
Luke Bailey.
So Luke Maile will step in the box against Daniel Colon with 1 out. Maile's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Maile has a 5-game hit streak on the line. As we mentioned, 0 for 2 to this point. That evens the count at a ball and a strike.
The first time he was up, they started the runner at first base. You're now down by 3 runs. Can't do that. Got to find your way to get on base.
Another good breaking ball. 1-2. Ryan Madsen and Josh Smith loosening up for the A's. We mentioned Colomb, the only left-hander for Oakland. Outside.
Missed that one. He was originally drafted by the Dodgers out of high school. In the 17th round, didn't sign, went to the University of Southern California, drafted again by the Dodgers in 2012, put in the 25th round. He had Tommy John surgery in 2011. And again, he was acquired for cash considerations by the A's from the Dodgers in September of 2015.
Two-2 count to Maile. Barney thought about it, but he holds it first. Now the count is full. Well, the Blue Jays look to turn this lineup over with big bats coming up. Maile can reach, push Barney to second at least.
Kevin Pillar's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight. This is a big pitch, probably his last pitch of the night.
Three-two. Breaking ball in there for strike 3. Well, Colomb's got a nice curveball. And that's going to be his last batter. He's going to be lifted in favor of the right-hander. Looks like Ryan Madsen's going to come into this ball game. Bob Melvin has made the call. So Colomb with 2 strikeouts. He will turn things over to the big right-hander Ryan Madsen to face Kevin Pillar. Season with Oakland. He was the closer last year, had 30 saves, and this year he makes his 25th appearance, and Kevin Pillar will be the batter, and the Blue Jays batting here in the 7th inning. And they have done a pretty good job this season coming back from deficits, especially late in the ball game. Pillar batting with 2 outs. You see the Blue Jays late inning thunder, home runs from the 7th inning on. The Blue Jays lead the Athletics. Jays have hit 30 home runs in the 7th inning or later. Madsen jumps ahead with a fastball. As Pat mentioned, Kevin Pillar has stung the ball 3 times tonight. A couple of line outs and a base hit to right.
Lined out the left field his first time up, was robbed of a hit by Rajai Davis his second time up.
Hot shot to third base, and that'll do it. Madsen comes out of the bullpen to close out the Blue Jays in the top of the 7th. Oakland has a 4-1 lead.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new 2017 Honda Rebel. Live your life. Love your ride.
We are back in Oakland, and Dominic Leone will take over. This will be his 22nd appearance of the season. He pitched last night for AAA Buffalo in Lehigh Valley. He pitched an inning, gave up 2 hits and a run through 23 pitches, and he has just joined the Blue Jays, as we mentioned.
2 defensive changes for the Blue Jays. First one, Leone back in. Didn't see him today. He must have got here while the Blue Jays were taking batting practice. He will become the pitcher, and the new left fielder is Darwin Barney. Barney, pinch hit for Ezekiel Carrera. And he obviously knows somebody on the Oakland A's down in their bullpen because he is saying hello to them from left field.
So Barney getting some direction now from the Blue Jays dugout. Leone last pitched with the Blue Jays on the 29th against Cincinnati. He was sent back to the minor leagues and made 2 appearances in Buffalo. And here he is back again. Mark Cannon had a double. He scored a run in the 5th his last time up. This is going to be fouled down the right side.
Dominic back up here with the injury to Devin Travis after Devin went on the disabled list today, so he's able to rejoin the ball club. They like his arm. They like that he can strike batters out. He's got a pretty good breaking ball. Pete Walker was telling me the other day that he's got some sizzle with his fastball.
One pitch to Canna, hits it into center field. Pilar coming in quickly, gets there and makes the catch. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. We're at the Oakland Coliseum, and the Blue Jays trail 4-1. A's won last night's game 5-3 behind Sean Manaea, big left-hander. Very effective over 6 innings. He struck out 7. All the offense provided by Ryan Healy, who was the DH last night. Tonight, Healy has an RBI double.
A little bit different tonight.
Rosales lines it to left. Barney is there, makes the catch.
Tonight, they've had to manufacture runs. both of these teams. Davis did it in the first inning, scored on a short sacrifice fly. Rosales played a run with a 2-out base hit off the glove of Tulowitzki. Then they got a big one last inning on a double by Chris Davis, scoring a runner from first base.
The A's have 4 doubles tonight, including Rajai Davis' leadoff double in the first. Ground ball foul past Donaldson. Davis doubled and came around to score on the sac fly by Chris Davis as Oakland took a 1-0 lead. The Blue Jays tied it in the 4th inning with a Tulowitzki RBI single. Then Oakland got another run in the 5th and 2 in the 6th. They're on with that good high fastball.
He can go up there with that fastball and get outs and then drop that breaking ball on you.
Leon strikes out Davis. Quick inning for Dominic Leon. 3 up, 3 down. The Blue Jays will have the big bats coming to the plate when we come back. They trail by 3. Donaldson, Bautista, and Morales. For the Blue Jays here in the 8th inning, and you look at his career between Oakland and Toronto. He has played 405 games as an Oakland A, only 311, but look at the production, Pat. It has improved dramatically, including that MVP award 2 seasons ago.
Big numbers when he came over to Toronto. I think some of it has to do with the ballpark that he plays in. 81 games at the Rogers Center in American League East. A lot of small ballparks there. It's also the lineup. And let's don't forget, I think he's improving as a player. More experience around some veteran ball players, and he's just a good baseball player.
Josh will turn 32 in December. And it's easy to forget that he was a #1 pick of the Chicago Cubs in 2007. He was traded to Oakland as part of a deal that included Chad Godin and Rich Harden from Oakland going to Chicago. That was in July of 2008.
That's when he was a catcher. You can see his athleticism to go from catcher to third base, and he's a darn good third baseman.
Ryan Madsen came in to close out the 7th inning. He got Kevin Pillar to hit into a fielder's choice to end it. 3-1 now to Donaldson. Blue Jays need some base runners. They trail by 3. Ryan Tepera loosening up. Luke retired the only man he faced. Pinch hitter Josh Fegley struck him out. And Dominic Leone retired to side in order with a strikeout. Donaldson not sure, and Madsen walks him to start the inning.
Madsen thought he might have had a strike there. You look at some of the numbers that he has had against the Blue Jays and say, hey, they got a chance. He's pitched against them 11 times. Blue Jays are hitting .326 against them, and his ERA is 7.5.
There have been some hitters in this lineup that have had success. Jose Bautista is 2 for 4 against Madsen. Lined hard to center field. Davis is there, and Bautista hits it right on the button, but right at the center fielder.
Jose is starting to swing it. He hit the ball hard a couple of times in last night's game. Didn't have much to show for it. Lined out against Liam Hendricks in the 8th inning, right at the third baseman, was robbed of a hit. He was robbed of a hit his last time up. Nice play by the right fielder. That time right at Rajay Davis.
Kendrys Morales. The DH is 1 for 3 so far. Down and in for ball 1.
Lefties having a lot more success against Madsen this year than right-handers. 270 against them this year. Fastball changeup. Got a pretty decent changeup.
Blue Jays saw Ryan Madsen in 2015 in the ALCS while he was pitching for Kansas City. They touched him up pretty good in that series. He appeared 3 times, total of 2 1/3. He was charged with 2 earned runs on 4 hits, and he gave up a home run. One pitch to Morales. Off speed pitch. He's out in front.
It looked like it might have been his changeup. He's pitched in 24 games this year. 19 of them have been scoreless. So they get him out. They get him in there and they get him out. But it looks like he's got this inning all by himself. Nobody warming up in that bullpen for the A's.
Morales a defensive swing.
One of those changeups again right here. That was the pitch that he swung through 2 pitches ago.
Indeed, he gets the changeup for the strikeout. After the leadoff walk, Madsen gets Bautista and then Morales.
It's a pretty good changeup where he digs it back into his fingers. And he's got some movement on, some drop to that change. It's a good hitter. Swing over the top of it.
Justin Smoke is 0 for 2 with a walk. Goes after the first pitch. Remember, Madsen gave up the 2-run home run to Jose Bautista in that ALCS game in Game 6 and tied it up in the 8th inning. He was charged with a blown save, and the Royals would score a run in the bottom of the 8th to take the lead and go on to wrap up that championship series. So Smoke's in the hole 0-2. His only hit against Madsen left the ballpark. stays alive. He got to that high fastball. That's ball one. 1-2 now to Smoke. Blue Jays trying to claw their way back into this ball game. It's the 8th inning, and Oakland has a 4-1 lead. Tulowitzki would bat if Smoke can reach base. Madsen strikes him out. So Ryan Madsen walks Donaldson to start the inning and then retires the side in order. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Time now for a Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Tomorrow you can win a signed bat from Russ. Maybe you want to get a trip to a Blue Jays road game. How about a VIP experience at Rogers Center? Rogers wants you to submit your baseball dream at RogersCelebrates.com, and your baseball dream could come true. Bye.
Thank you very much, Arash, and make sure you log on and check that all out. Brian Tepper will come on to pitch the bottom of the 8th. Dominic Leone had a good inning in the 7th with a strikeout. Now Ryan Tepper will come on to face the A's here in the 8th.
Ryan last worked 4 days ago. That was against the Yankees. He threw an inning there, excuse me, 2/3 of an inning, was touched up for an RBI double by Matt Holliday, but he also had a couple of strikeouts. Hasn't allowed a home run in his last 21 innings. Tell you what, he's done a great job. 33 strikeouts, just 13 base off balls this year.
Very aggressive with that fastball, and that's what he throws to Pinder for 1 out. He grounds out to Smoke. The Blue Jays will wrap up this series here in Oakland tomorrow afternoon, and remember, it's an early start. Pre-game show starts at 12 Pacific. That's 3 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you join us for the pre-game show. Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn, and we'll be there 30 minutes afterwards for the finale of this 3-game series. Then the Blue Jays will head up to Seattle, have Thursday off before they pick things up on Friday night against the Mariners. And the Mariners are hot. They scored 7 runs tonight in the 4th inning and have a 12-3 lead over the Twins. Starting to really swing the bats.
Yeah, we faced them, it wasn't too long ago, back at Rogers Center, but no Robinson Cano. He's back.
Cano hit a home run tonight along with Kyle Seager.
Makes a little bit of a difference to have that future Hall of Famer in their lineup.
Says pulled foul by Jed Lowry. He's had a good game tonight. Lowry's Picked up a couple of hits in 3 at-bats. Santiago Casilla picked up his save last night. He is loosening up. Save number 9 for Casilla came in the game last night. Danny Valencia, the first baseman for the Mariners, had 9 straight hits in the series against Tampa Bay, and he's got a hit tonight and drove in 3 runs. He's hot.
Yes, he is very hot. That's a pretty good pitching staff that he got those 9 hits against too. Tampa Bay.
Now he swings and misses.
Tell you somebody who else is pretty nasty is Ryan Tepera. The way that he has been throwing the ball this year. His slider has always been really good. He's got a lot of confidence in it this year. He can 2-seam it, sink that ball, use the fastball to get ahead.
June 2 to the A's second baseman Jed Lowry. Way inside. Now it's a full count.
They needed somebody to pick up the slack when Joe Biagini went into the starting rotation. And Tepera has filled in nicely in Biagini's spot, giving them multiple innings coming out of the bullpen, picking up a ton of strikeouts.
Three-2 pitch to Lowry. Cutter, he fouls off. That's out of play. Oakland 4 runs on 7 hits. Blue Jays 1 run on 7 hits. The Oakland has committed the only error in the ball game. Blue Jays trying to get back on their winning ways. They lost last night to fall back to 2 games under 500 at 28 and 30. Tepera misses with that fastball. A 1-out walk. Drive of the game brought to you by Honda, proud fan since 1977 and official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Chris Davis was the leader last year for the Oakland A's in home runs with 42. He's at it again this year with 17. But this isn't a home run. This ball is a drive over the head of Kevin Pillar. It's going to be a double. He had 24 of them last year. That's his 7th this year, as he drives in an insurance run, and it's our drive of the game tonight. Chris Davis has a lot of power at the plate.
The A's have 7 hits, but 4 of them have been doubles. And with that, the Blue Jays have now given up 192 extra base hits. It's the most in the American League.
Puts a lot of runners in scoring position, those extra base hits.
Davis with 17 home runs trails only Aaron Judge in that department in the American League. 5 players, including his teammate Yonder Alonso, tied with 16 home runs. Justin Smoak is the leader of the Blue Jays. He has 15 homers.
Yeah, he doesn't have to pull the ball to hit a home run either. He can hit the ball out at right field just as easy.
Ground ball. Tulowitzki goes to second for 1. Goins back to first. Double play, and that'll end the inning. So Tepera gets the double play. Finishes off the A's in the 8th. We'll go to the 9th. Santiago Casilla picked up a save last night. He's coming on here to face Tulowitzki and Barney and Goins. The closer for the Oakland A's is Santiago Castillo. We mentioned he picked up his 9th save last night in the ball game. He's 9 for 11 in save opportunities. Trying to close things out here in a 4-1 ball game.
Still has that inflated earned run average. He can get knocked around, but showed a good fastball last night and a sharp curveball. Castillo pitched in that game, ended the game by striking out Josh Donaldson. He also struck out Ryan Goins. Trevor Plouffe was now into the ball game, taking over for Ryan Healy at third base.
Healy committed an error that led to a run. So now Plouffe, who had a terrific defensive game last night, into the game at third. Castillo throws a ball in the dirt for the first pitch to Tulowitzki. Tulo has the only RBI for the Blue Jays. That came in the 4th inning, and an RBI base hit to right. That scored Jose Bautista, who reached on the air by Ryan Healy. So that snaps a mini streak for the A's. They had back-to-back airless games. And they committed another error tonight. 59th.
That error led to the Blue Jays' only run. They have to figure out ways to get guys on base and come up with some clutch hits.
The Blue Jays have 17 come from behind wins, and it'll take a 3-run rally here in the 9th to tie it. Tulowitzki. Chris Coughlin has come out on deck. He is going to bat for Darwin Barney. And then Ryan Goins. Three and one. Ryan Madsen walked Josh Donaldson to start the top of the 8th, and Donaldson never moved past first. Bautista lined out hard to center, and then Morales and Smoke both struck out against Madsen. Now it's 3-2.
Tulo taking all the way right there. They need base runners. Not afraid to hit 3-2.
Bounced foul. Both Donaldson and Tulowitzki trying to knock off the rust of long stints on the disabled list. Tulowitzki missed 31 games. Donaldson missed 38 games. And it's just a challenge when you're trying to play catch up to these pitchers that are in midseason form. Donaldson tonight 2 for 3 with a walk. Sharply hit into left field. Tulowitzki leads things off. Now for a preview of what's coming up next on Sportsnet Central. Here's Carolyn Cameron and Eric Thomas.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen, for Toronto, batting for Barney, number 7, Chris Coughlin.
Chris Coughlin steps in to face Santiago Castillo. He is batting for Darwin Barney. Coughlin as a pinch hitter, 2 for 7 for the Jays. Overall batting .211 on the season. Ball 1.
Castillo not happy with that call. He thought the fastball was right at the knees. He can get a little wild at times. Right now he's a little frustrated with that last call.
You can see he very upset at the strike zone of Pat Hoberg, the umpire. It's not a way to endear yourself to the home plate umpire. foul over the first baseman. Casilla with just 3 save opportunities, as Pat mentioned, from the 12th of May. They haven't had many leads. Made a walk and a couple of strikeouts in the inning last night. Off-speed pitch. Casilla's ahead 1-2.
That was pretty filthy. He throws hard. And we'll pick up a share of strikeouts.
Blue Jays haven't had a 9th inning comeback this season. Way outside.
You know, when you head into the 9th inning, you're down by 3 runs. All you're hoping for is to get a shot. Get that tying run to the plate and give your team a chance. It's a good start with Tulowitzki on base. Making this guy work right here. He's already thrown 11 pitches. He hasn't retired a batter yet.
Two and two. Fouled it off.
Do you have any idea who he was looking at second base?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. He looked right back at second base as if there was a base runner there.
And was nodding like, yep. Okay, I got it. Watch him.
Second base. Nobody's there. Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. And curveball.
Now that's funny. You mentioned the 9th inning. Well, on Sunday, the Nationals were here. They scored 5 in the 9th. Oakland scored 6 in the 9th. And Washington held on for 11-10 win.
Tell you what, all of these pitches and walks and all that, what it does is puts the defense on their heels.
And there's a lot of drama going on here. And Casilla's got a 3-run cushion. And remember, this is one of the worst bullpens in baseball.
This is a big pitch right here. It's 3-2. If he loses him like that, the tying run's coming up to the plate.
3-2 pitch. Fouled off.
He has to challenge him, doesn't he, with the fastball?
You would think. You'd hate to see him walk Coughlin to bring the tying run to the plate on a breaking ball.
And I think Chris knows that too. He knows he's got to challenge him. Even if he gets up a fastball and gets up a home run here, he still has a 1-run lead. But you can't walk him.
Ground ball. Alonso will look at second, but step on the bag at first, and Coughlin's retired. It's the first out of the inning. Tulowitzki goes to second.
If you're the A's, you're counting outs right here. Alonso did the right thing. He looked at Tulowitzki, but he wasn't going to throw the ball. He wasn't going to take a chance in getting that lead runner.
Now batting, number 17, Ryan Goins.
Ryan Goins has gone 1 for 3 tonight. Goins 0 for 1 going up against Casilla. But the Blue Jays just need another base runner to get that tying run to the plate. Big breaker in there for a strike. Goins in the 8th spot. Luke Maile, the number 9 hitter, is on deck. took something off that fastball and got the swing and a miss from Goins.
Still 88 miles an hour. I don't know if that was his changeup.
Goins now has to battle. He's in the hole 0-2.
He's got that breaking ball. Is he going to go after him with it?
Threw the breaking ball but missed. $18 pitches for Casilla so far this inning. Tulowitzki got it started with a leadoff single. And a breaking ball for the strikeout, 2 away.
You figure it was coming at some point. He had a career-high 65 strikeouts last year when he was with the San Francisco Giants. A lot of them just like this. Sharp breaker right over the top. He can really spin it. Good play by Fegley to block that ball. 2 down.
So Luke Maile will try to keep things going. He's 0 for 3. Trying to extend his hit streak to 6 straight. And trying to keep the Blue Jays in this game. Strike 2. Breaking ball, he gets a piece of it and stays alive. Kevin Pillar is on deck, and he's hit the ball sharply all night long.
Yeah, you're just asking for a chance. Get Pillar up there.
That's the ball game. Called strike 3. Casilla strikes out Maile, and the A's have won the first 2 games of this 3-game series.
Had a great chance. Marco Estrada had a nice little comeback game tonight for the Blue Jays after his last outing. It looked like he was on. A couple of clutch hits by the A's, and then pitching brought it home for Oakland. Jays to just 1 run tonight. Got to try and salvage.
Tomorrow it'll be Francisco Liriano against Terrell Cotton as the A's have won the first 2. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Carolyn and Eric, take it away.